Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video, I'd like to update the situation with the very late and limited attempts by the government not to make a complete pig's ear of, the pig farming industry as it happens, as only a small number of the butchers that we needed to take up the offer of these short-term visas to cover for our desperate Brexit shortages in food processing. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So I've said before that I will not be able to help myself as soon as it becomes certain, and it's still only probable, but as soon as it becomes certain, I will be running the headlines that Brexit Britain has run out of gammon. I don't imagine I'll be the only one either. Not to worry, mine is in the freezer. I suppose this is one of those things that will disproportionately affect those who don't want to listen to the problems that Brexit is causing because they will not take precautions. So if the gammon shortages are evident, it will be, ironically, the gammons who are disproportionately affected by the gammon shortage. The issue for those not sure is that we have a severe lack of butchers in the UK. We actually have a shortage of domestic skills and workers in a whole range of sectors, particularly through our food supply chain. In fact, pretty much all of them. But butcher is a skilled occupation like HGV driver, and with our exit from the single market, combined with our hostile post-Brexit immigration rules, it's a little bit tricky to accept the migrant workforce that we had taken for granted for so long. The government were warned about the problem very early on. Did nothing. Just hire British workers, they said. There aren't enough. We'll train some. In 6 weeks? Yeah, it'll be fine. Then, shock of shocks, it wasn't fine. Farmers were not able to pass on their pigs to the abattoirs because of this shortage of butchers. The backlog is growing. Healthy pigs were going to have to be culled. Boris Johnson said not to worry about it until it started happening. That was in October. The next week it started happening. The government issued some visas for foreign butchers, just like they have for HGV drivers and other key workers. But the visas came with the condition that if any foreigner actually applied for them and was accepted, that they would be kicked out of the country on Christmas Eve. All right, said the government. In the new year then. But still, the prospect of travelling to a foreign plague island to take up work for just a few months before being cast out like a leper didn't actually appeal to too many skilled workers from overseas. Foreigners can be funny like that. But some have applied. It's not as bad as the dozen or so lorry drivers either. It looks like we've actually been able to attract several dozen butchers. But here's the thing, we needed them in August. That's when the problems began. The government were warned months in advance of the problem starting, but only acted months after the problem had already started. So a backlog that has been building for months, and we're only going to start getting the butchers in place round about now. Because even when the visas were issued, recruitment adverts had to go out, job applications had to come in, visa applications had to be checked and approved, all takes a while. So we're just about ready to start actually enjoying the services of those visa holders, which numbers tens of butchers according to reports. Not exactly all we need, better than nothing I suppose. The government had issued visas for 800. So yeah, we're a bit short still. I saw a report in the last couple of days that said we've already culled 16,000 healthy pigs, and the number will of course keep rising. Of course it will. We still don't have those butchers in place, and we haven't got enough butchers in place. We haven't been able to attract the number needed. And because these visas are only short term, and the problems we've faced this year aren't a one-off, we're going to be in the same situation next year as well. So one of two things has to happen. First, the government will quietly extend the visa scheme to keep it going, potentially indefinitely, although that still doesn't help us attract enough of those workers who will constantly be a matter of weeks away from potentially being thrown out of the country. Why come here under those conditions when you can work freely in over 24 European countries without hassle? The second possibility is that the government are actually hoping that the British pig farmers call it a day and that we just import the food we used to produce ourselves. Now, that sounds unlikely because it's economic madness. Why would a government promote a policy that means closing down British producers and importing the products from overseas? That would be like taking a pay cut and then increasing your outgoings. But consider that this government doesn't exactly seem to be economically literate, has pursued trade deals which will mean the import of lots of cheap food from entire oceans away, and is already winding down the farming subsidies which membership of the EU guaranteed, but that Boris Johnson has refused to match. In fact, dozens of pig farms have already gone under this year, a result of the critical shortage of butchers and the ease with which European suppliers have been able to supply British supermarkets with cheaper products has made their farms unsustainable. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if the government were consciously trying to wind down British pig farming, just like many other sectors. Hard to say, but if it is their aim, then they are already succeeding. If it's not their aim, then it's having that effect anyway. Boris Johnson, when he was interviewed a couple of months ago, talked about a period of readjustment, as if to just sound, oh, you just need to adapt. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, as a result of Brexit, we need to adapt to a future whereby we are able to produce less. Producing less means that our economy shrinks, so we have less money. But we also need to purchase more goods from abroad because we're not making enough for ourselves. Purchasing those goods from abroad means more of our shrinking pot of money going overseas and into the treasuries of other countries, not so much into our own. There's very little recycling of our wealth. It's not difficult to understand. We're making less money and paying more. Making less and paying more. And that's going on everywhere, in every sector of our economy. Making less, paying more. When the government talk about balancing our lower exports with exports to countries at the other side of the world, that's the same thing. It costs more to transport goods to Japan than it does to Belgium, so we're making less. Because the profits are reduced by the extra cost of transport and meeting a completely different set of regulatory paperwork. Making less and paying more. That's what Brexit Britain is doing. Like if a friend of yours said that they wanted to give up their job and get a lower paid one, but that they were going to start spending more money, you'd have a little word with them. A few words, actually. Words like drunk or insane may creep into the conversation. But this is what Brexit Britain is doing, and so many people are just nodding along to phrases like period of readjustment, finding opportunities in Asia, as if that's the answer to this madness. For consumers, the British Meat Processors Association, which I'm going to guess is going to have way fewer members next year, has said that there will be a restricted choice of range as the industry had to focus on quantity. So they've said in their own words they've gone for less time-intensive products in order to bang out as much as possible. So things like gammon and pigs in blanket, which take more time, are likely to be scarcer. So as I've said before, and as I've done, if you're after anything that might be in short supply in a few weeks, get it now, bang it in the freezer if you're able to. Don't be fooled into thinking when you're going on the supermarkets, oh, they're there at the moment. You know, that can change pretty quickly once people start their Christmas shop in earnest. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.